All right. Well, my name's Justin. Funk. I'm from Morgantown, West Virginia. I am in recovery. I guess I could start at the beginning when I was a child. Some of my earliest memories was like my mom and dad drinking, and I didn't grow up with the Brady Bunch. It was a different story for me. Complete opposite, really. Just my parents fighting all the time and like physical abuse in the house. I remember being real young, and I had alcoholic tendencies as a very small child. Man, I would be like sneaking into my mom and dad's room and taking cigarettes and sneaking their beers and drinking their beers when they weren't looking. Um, Eventually, I remember being in elementary school and huffing rubber cement. I don't even know why I came up with the concept to do this, but I was a baby, literally, and I would be huffing this rubber cement. And then in high school, I started smoking pot and sniffing pain pills, hydrocodones and stuff like that. And that evolved into heroin eventually. Um, I've pretty much done every drug, and that all leads to prison for me. I've got a lot of time incarcerated in my life because of drug use. Um, I think I was incarcerated the first time in 2001. I'm 39, so yeah, about 2001. I was incarcerated for breaking into a building to steal to buy drugs. Um, then I was incarcerated again in 2016. That's actually what led to me getting into recovery. Was I had a possession with intent to deliver and a fleeing with reckless indifference charge, and I was in Central Regional Jail. I'd been there probably 16 months, and somebody had mentioned a place called Recovery Point. I'd never heard of it. I've never even knew that there was any kind of life outside. I didn't know recovery was a real thing. I just thought it was something you saw on TV or people made jokes about. Um, so I go to this place and I'm terrified when I get there. I don't know what to expect, man. I feel like I'm walking into a cult. Um, People were hugging me and telling me they love me, and it's just complete opposite of everything I'm used to in life at this time in my life. But eventually I start meeting people and speaking to people, and something starts to happen to me. I start to realize that there's a different way of life, that I don't have to be the tattooed, multi-time convicted felon that everybody looks down on or is afraid of, or that feels that I'll steal from them or just do whatever the things I used to do in life. Um, but I can help people like me, that I can show true love and compassion for other people, man. I can have empathy for people like me because I've been to where they've been and I've lived the life they've lived. Um, I don't know. I was there. This is my second time at Recovery Point. I'm a refocus there. I had 25 months of sobriety and got high. That led me back to prison, of course. I just got out of Huttonsville Correctional Center March the 31st. Failed a drug test the following day. Just I couldn't get it together again, and I knew what I needed. Nobody told me, hey, you need to go to rehab. I knew. I was actually, I'd hit a low point in my life, man. There's this thing, this guilt, shame, remorse that we get, that I get, everybody gets usually. Um, but it was so bad for me that I was literally on my couch with a pistol and my cell phone. And I text Josh Farmer, which is a friend of mine. He's the director of Recovery Point right now in Bluefield. And I told him I needed some help. Um, and he helped me, man. He did. He told me to come home. So I did. By that time, I had already made my wife and children leave the house because I was going to commit suicide. I've never been suicidal in my life. I've just something I'd never experienced. I've never felt a low that degrading, and the self-worth. It was gone. There was just no hope for me in life. And then I come back, man, and I find that spark again so fast. As fast as I felt the depression and the anxiety and the worthlessness, I found the hope again instantly whenever I got around like-minded people that loved me and cared for me. Whenever I couldn't even love myself, you know what I mean? There was I didn't feel there was any hope for me. I didn't feel like I deserved a life. Um, now I'm back to a point in the program. I'm getting ready to be a peer mentor again. I have a job waiting on me there. So I'm at a point that I can give back. I can help people that felt like I did, that's experienced the things I have. People like coming out of prison, for instance, that don't understand. Like the first time I got out of prison, I didn't understand that I wasn't supposed to go back and do the things that I was doing before I went. I thought that's how life was. So now I'm working my best at placing myself in a position to be able to go help people exactly like me, to understand that you don't have to live like this, man. You can, all those character defects that saved my life for so many years in prison, I can flip those over and use them as assets and help people, man, and show them that there's places like Recovery Point and other programs that you can get into that basically break away that old mold. They tear down the old person and they let you build a new. And to be able to completely rebuild your life, not rebuild the old life that I had, but to rebuild a new life, a better life, is what I want to be able to show people, you know. You get a stigma of a multi-time convicted, tattooed felon, and I know I've said that twice, but it's a stigma to that, man. People, they look at us differently. And I'm okay with that. I can be looked at differently as long as I'm using that to help others. If I use my story, my dark past, to benefit and save one life, then I've done what the man before me has done for me. And all the pain and agony and sorrow that I've went through and that I've put other people through, it becomes worth it. My story becomes worth telling when it becomes an asset instead of a hindrance in life. You know?
Where are your parents?
My parents, my father lives in Preston County, West Virginia. My mother is currently in Charlotte, North Carolina.
How's your relationship with them?
Well, my mom's undergoing chemo right now. She's got breast cancer, so she's not well, but our relationship's okay. It wasn't always okay until I went through Recovery Point the first time. I had such big resentments on my mother and my father for the abuse and the drinking and the drugging. And I had to realize that they were doing the best they could, maybe. They didn't understand.
I'm glad you brought up stigma. Stigma is something we've talked a lot about with having to deal with, how to deal with it and having to deal with it.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Healing Appalachia and your experience being here as a volunteer this weekend.
That's amazing. I've ran into so many like-minded people. The recovery family out here, I'll call it, is huge. There's so many people that came here to volunteer, to benefit others, to give away what was so freely given to them that it warms my heart, man. It makes me understand that I'm not alone in this. There's so many people out there that are just like me, that either are at one time were looked down upon, were in prison, were living under bridges in trap houses, and now they're not. They found a new way of life, man. This is an amazing event. It's helping people.
What's the one thing that you want people to know about addiction?
That it doesn't have to be your life story. That it can be a part of your story, but recovery is possible. It's here. We can do it. If I can do it, and I promise you I'll put myself through the ringer. If I can do it and stand and say that I'm a man today, that I love my wife and children, that I take care of my family, that I love others more than I ever could imagine, then anybody can do it.
That's great.
How's your addiction and recovery affected your wife and children? Has recovery changed your relationship with them? Or?
It has, of course it has. So my wife is not in recovery. She's not an addict, which is a great thing for me, because when I was messing up, when I was getting high, the woman literally saved my life with Narcan several times. My children's had to see me use drugs. I've forced that. My wife's seen me have to use drugs. I've forced that. Going in and out of prison multiple times, in and out of rehab a couple times now, being an absent father, just not being a provider, not being a man, not walking my family in the right direction that they should be walked down, literally doing the same thing, take away the physical abuse that my parents did to me. So now they don't have to worry about that. My wife don't have to worry about waking up to a dead husband beside her. My children don't have to find me overdosed in a bathroom. Take them to the park, go watch a movie, have family movie nights, work on cars with my son, play dress up with my daughter, whatever. Just be a dad and love to do that and show people if I can mend my family, if I can mend my life, they can do it.